Hey y'all, this is Evan with Backwoods Adventure Mods. Today we're going to be doing an install on our newly redesigned Nomad Series aluminum ladder for the high roof Sprinter vans. This is the ladder we designed for our 14 to current Sprinter vans, and we recently changed it so that it has 3 different top sections that bolt on, so it's modular. It'll work whether you have no roof rack or either of our roof racks, the heavy duty or the drifter series. So obviously these are going to come to you powder coated like all of our products. We just grabbed this one off the line to do a quick install. I want to give a thanks to the guys at Open Road Camper Vans for letting us use their facility and their van to do this installation. When you open the box, you're going to see the top half and the bottom half of the ladder, all the connecting brackets, and then whichever top section you ordered. In this case, we're going to be putting it on a van with no roof rack, so we're going to use this top section. You'll also get the hardware. I've already unbagged the hardware so that it's laid out and easy for me to install. As for what tools you'll need, you need a basic socket set, a wrench set, drill bits, and a tape measure and marker. First, we're going to loosely assemble everything and not tighten any bolts down all the way. Then we're going to hang it on the van and get our rough location. Once we get the location figured out, we can drill the holes in the pinch weld, and then we'll tighten everything down. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. It doesn't really matter which order you do it in. On this connector bracket, the hole is so close to the bend that there's not room for a flat washer on these two. Go ahead and use it on these, but on the inner two, just use the lock washer only. This is the bottom bracket. It's going to bolt to the pinch weld, and then also it's going to bolt to the bottom of the ladder. As far as the 1/4 inch hardware goes, you'll get 4 regular hex bolts and 4 carriage bolts. The carriage bolts are going to be the ones we use to connect the ladder to the bottom bracket. There's a little notch in the rung that you can use to help guide that into there. That way you don't have to worry about getting a wrench in there. The only thing we need to do before we hang the ladder is put these sliding bolts into the track. All right. The final location of the ladder is totally up to you as the installer. It needs to be far enough forward of the rear tire to clear the spot where it's a little curved on the bottom, and obviously somewhere behind the front door. We've picked a spot roughly 6 inches behind this seam. So we're just going to get these close and I'll bring the ladder up. Number 1 priority here is not scratching the van. Okay. All right, so here's the location we've decided on. It's the most aesthetically pleasing to us. It's basically centered between that window and where this window is going to be. So I'm going to make sure it's 19 inches from this seam at the top as well as the bottom. So now it's time to crawl under and mark the 4 holes to drill in the pinch weld. Okay, so I'm going to double check our measurement. Now I'm going to carefully lift the bottom up as high as it can go and mark the 4 holes. Okay, now I'm going to take the ladder, temporarily back off and drill these holes out. Okay, we're using 1/4 inch hardware, so we're going to use a 1/4 inch drill bit. I don't want it oversized at all. I want it to be a nice snug fit. I'm going to drill right at the top of my mark. Okay, we've got the bottom 4 holes drilled. With this model, those are the only 4 we need to drill. So I'm gonna hang the ladder back on the top and then we'll install all the hardware. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and install the lower 4 bolts and tighten these down all the way. Now, since I drilled the holes so far near the top, we're gonna forego the use of the flat washers because they just won't fit, but I feel better about that than having the holes lower with washers. I should have mentioned, this backing plate is what goes on the back side and pinches the pinch weld. You'll notice I'm putting these on without any washers. That's going to be temporary until I get all 4 in, get it all snugged down. It's a little less cumbersome this way to do the install. Next, I'm going to tighten down the top, and then we'll tighten down the connector bolts for the middle. You're going to want to double check your top measurement because it probably shifted. Now we'll tighten down the top bracket to the top of the ladder. I'm going to pull out on it just a little bit. That'll give us a little bit more toe room when we're walking up the ladder. I'm going to go ahead and install the lock washers in the bottom, but other than that, this is done. Okay, that wraps it up. Just to recap, we assembled it loosely with all the hardware on the ground. We hung it from the top, picked our desired location, marked that on the bottom, drilled the 4 holes, then we installed the 4 bolts on the bottom, tightened it down, and then worked our way from the top to bottom to complete tightening down the rest of the bolts. And that's it. If you guys have any questions, reach out to us at backwoodsAdventureMods.com.